for greatness. My name is written in stars, and I will give everything, all that I have to the cause. Fight against evil, run through the pain, battle it all, this is more than a game. I am a lion and I can't be tamed, it's how it was made. There's ice in my veins, run through it all. No matter the odds, I will answer a call. The enemy knocks on the door. Even the greatest among us will fall, but the greatest will get back up. So I won't back down, and I won't give up, and I will act now, and I will stand up. They know that I'm here for it all. Rise up, no matter what's in my way. Rise up, I will do what it takes. I will keep on fighting. I'll rise through it all. Rise up, no matter what's in my way. Rise up, I will do what it takes. I will keep on fighting. I'll rise through it all. Rise up.
No matter what it is you need, you'll find it at your local Par-Mar store. From gas to grocery, snacks, and everything else you always seem to run out of, Par-Mar stores has it. Need more savings? Download the Par-Mar app and sign up for the Par-Mar Rewards Card. You won't only see our stores in your neighborhoods, you'll see us in your neighborhoods too. We are proud to be in your town and proud to be a part of the community. Come see us at Par-Mar stores, and remember, if there's not a Par-Mar store near you now, there will be soon.
Wilson Martino Dental. Did you know that 95% of our dentists have graduated from WVU? And many former players and WVU coaches trust Wilson Martino Dental with their oral health. The Mountaineers and Wilson Martino Dental. Yeah, we do that.
And hello, Mountaineer Nation, and welcome to Mountaineer Hardcourt's Legends with the legends, Darryl Prue, as you can see at the bottom screen, and of course, Tim Kearney. Tim, how you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing all right, but I'm not sure if I'm a legend or not.
Hey, you put on the gold and blue, baby. You are a legend. And I'm the host, the Wolfman, and I am definitely not a hardcourt legend. But you know what? I am a legend in the Bob Huggins fantasy camp for most fouls in a short period of time. As I got thrown out by the bear himself. DP, Darryl Prue, how are you today?
I'm good, Wolf. I'm good. Tim, you are a legend. I was talking to one of my friends here in D.C. He had scout for Nike, and I was telling him what we were doing. He's like, oh, the big skinny white kid that's from Madison? I was like, yes, that's him.
It wasn't.
He remembered all those years, so you are officially a legend.
No,
you may not know it. You may first see him on Matt. He told me everything. So,
no, I mean, I knew Sidney Lowe and all those guys because I grew up playing with those guys and everything else. I mean, they played for NC State and a bunch of other people too that I played with up there. I had a good time.
So you're an official legend. You are an official legend. Never forget that.
Peace and love during this Christmas holiday season. Peace and love. Well, listen, let me say this. Tim, you were just telling me you had a conversation recently with Ronnie Everhart, and he was giving you grief about you beating him in the last shot. Go ahead and finish the story while he was at Virginia Tech.
Well, it was back in '84. We were playing at Virginia Tech. And I took a shot from the sidelines there, and it went in, and then I had a broken nose at the time, so I had a mask on, and the guys re-broke my nose from jumping on top of me. and Ronnie's still pissed off the fact that I took the last shot and beat them down there in Virginia Tech.
Well, I certainly don't blame him for being pissed off because I know those Hokies get pissed when the Mountaineers beat them. So that's good stuff. And so, gentlemen, I want to welcome you to the show. And I want to say Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to you. And I hope that your Christmas is good. I want to say it to all of Mountaineer Nation, all that may be listening right now or will be listening. And I want to know, I will start with you, DP. What's your plans for the holiday?
Oh, man, I'm just going to go watch. I've been watching a lot of high school basketball lately. Nothing else. Probably chill with some family and friends and just enjoy the holiday.
What about you, Tim?
I've got my wife's family coming over here. They're all Italian, so I've got about 20 plus people coming over my house on Sunday. I went ahead and cleaned out the backyard, so everything's good to go, I hope, and we'll see what happens.
Okay, well, look out. Here comes the clan, man. The clan's walking in you from all there and good. And, DP, man, you got to start getting a life, buddy. I mean, basketball can't be it all the time.
Yeah, that's why I took the year off, so I'm starting to get the itch again.
No, I hear you, man. All right, and once a coach, always a coach. I understand it. I know it, and I live it. So let's go ahead and talk about coaching and what it takes mentality-wise to prepare your players, and for your players on the other side, being able to prepare heading into a break, and then you start your league play. Tim, I'm going to start off with you.
Well, the biggest thing is just keeping the guy's head, as far as where they need to be. I mean, when I remember we had like 2 or 3 days break, and I would have to go home, or if I could go home, and it was just making sure the players are straight with what has to happen coming up. With this upcoming game right now, I just hope the guys have, as far as what we're looking at right now, they keep their heads where they need to be. And you have, 2 or 3 days break, the guys will go home, and we had it before. But at the same time, it's just getting us back and getting us in the groove of what we have to do.
Hey, D, it's got to be very difficult, though. The kids go home. I should say the men go home, because this is a senior-laden team, and you got to get them back in the mindset for Kansas State New Year's Eve.
Yeah, that's the tough part. I think the toughest one is the day. You don't want to have a lag. Even I went to the game on Sunday, and the crowd was, not because all the students wasn't there, so there's older people there, not as excited, on every play, not as loud. So it was hard to get up. But this game right here worries me, because they do go home tonight after the game or the next morning. But I think next week they'll rev back up. Huggy would push them to the limit and get them ready for Kansas State.
Are you saying this is a trap game?
Yes, it is. I think so.
You think so? Okay. Tim, let me ask you this. Huggy, when he's in his post-conference, press conferences, even if the team has not done well. I remember even after Xavier, he said what he didn't like. He said this and that, but he seems very calm. I think he has a lot of confidence in this team, realizing that they're coming from 5 different points and 7 different points, depending on the players coming off the bench, but all these different points, and they're meshing right now. And I think he's okay, and he's relaxed, giving them that meshing time.
Well, like I said, I had a conversation with Ron Everhart last night. And the one thing that I said to him, and I said, there's something that I see about this with everything they've done with bringing in these new players. And he says, Tim, I've never seen a group of players that get along so well. And he goes, it's comforting to him, and also Coach Huggins as well, that they did an incredible thing as far as bringing in the players they brought in through this whole transfer portal. And I really see something happening. And Ron, and I guess also Coach Huggins sees that as well.
That is so interesting, and it's so comforting, as you said that word, comfort, for sure. And go ahead, D.
Yeah, I think they did their homework on these kids, on these players. Sometimes when you're recruiting, you're recruiting high school players, they're immature. So you don't know, you wait for them to mature. With this group, you got a lot of seniors, and you ask the coaches where they've been, and other players where they've been, and I think they got a lot of information. I remember I was talking to Coach Harrison in the summertime. He was like, I think they got a good group of guys, and it's showing. I went to the game. The vibe was different. The guys are getting along. They come out the game. They're not mad at each other. They mad about coming out the game. They're together. They're playing for each other. And I think that has a lot to do with maturity. And getting the right guys. Sometimes the best basketball players are not the right guys. So I think they got a right group of guys.
I agree. Darryl, I agree.
Let me ask you that. So that brings up the question: is how important is this game to be on top of your game heading into the break so that you're ready, or you have plenty of time, another week, and it's a trap game. So hopefully you play well and get out of here and get ready for Kansas State. Which one is it, Tim?
Now, I mean, as far as what I saw from the last game with Buffalo, I mean, with Seth Wilson, what he did was incredible. Coming off the bench, I mean, there's guys coming off the bench from this team that are delivering so much to making things happen. And like I said, and I called it, and also Darryl called it.
Oh, you got
Stevenson, he came out, and I still see him coming out tonight as well. And Jimmy Bell, God, I mean, geez, double.
Yeah, think about this. Jimmy Bell only had 1 point in the first half. He didn't play much in the first half.
No, I know.
I think it was a play he missed on defense, and coach got mad, and he didn't put him back in. He was getting a lot of energy with Muhammad and the other kids, so he waited, and when Bell came back in the second half and started playing well, that's when they broke their lead up. And I think Stevenson is one of those guys that he only plays one way, his energy. So, you love having guys like that because that can feed on to the other players.
Yeah. I mean, between him and Muhammad, if they can stay out of foul trouble, that's the biggest thing. Mm-hmm. I mean, Jimmy Bell's got, as far as looking at his foul problems, he's so big that the referees, they'll call a foul no matter what he does.
For sure. But that does lead into this, and this is more in general about this team, that Bob Huggins said, you know what, physicality does not bother this team. And here's Jimmy Bell. You're going to see him, and he's going to fight the big one, and the big one's going to get called. It's not Jimmy Bell gets called, but you got to like the idea that he's going to get in there and get down and dirty, especially down there in the post, the paint. I mean, it's exciting. I didn't see it last year, and I'm seeing it now. So to me, Dave, what's happening, man? Is this team? Are they getting after because they like to play basketball? They like to be physical.
Bell does. Bell doesn't mind contact. He could play offensive line the way he plays in the post. Like them guys. I watched that play, and they were battling, and all Bell was doing is holding his ground. He would just hold his ground. A guy was trying to push him out the lane. He was holding his ground, and they almost got into a fight. And I think that's one of the reasons why Bell came out the game, because Bell was pissed because the guy was holding him, grabbing him. He kind of yoked him one time, and I was like, but Bell didn't back away from him. He stayed there. And the other guy kind of shied away after a while and got out of his game.
Yeah, that's for sure. What do you think there, Tim?
Well, no, I like his aggressiveness as far as on what he's doing. But the fact that I think some of the referees are calling too much against that. I mean, if you look at some of the video, whatever, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, I played back in the days with Phil Collins at West Virginia, where he punched Eric Stover in the nose and broke his nose.
Nowadays referees don't see that physical play, so guys just fall down and they act like they got hit, and they call it without even looking at it and seeing it. So
it's like flopping. I guess like in soccer they call it flopping or whatever it is.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. There's a lot of acting.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this: when you're watching this game, what was the overall flow that you liked about it? Tim, go ahead. How did the game work out for you? It wasn't late till the Mountaineers got the push, and what did you think about it?
Well, I'm telling you what, and I told you from the last broadcast we did, that they should have gone inside, and that's what they did in the second half. Okay, they need to pound it in to Bell in the big men, and that's what they did. It opened up the outside, and I think that's what turned the game around.
Yeah, they wore him down. They wore him down. Then off the bench, Wilson hit some key shots. And he had Toussaint making plays. Matthews was out, so other people had to step up. And they had a consistent group. I don't think anybody played bad. And I think they just wore him down. And when Bell played better in the second half, because he only had 1 point in the first half, ended up like 15 to 16 points. That's a lot. That's a lot in one half.
No,
and that's almost every minute he's scoring.
No, I agree. And I'm not sure do you all know what the status of Matthews is?
I think he's sitting this out till the Big 12. I think that's what he's going to be. Hopefully, going to be ready to go for Kansas State. Not positive, so you better check on that with your local crew that you have. But I believe that's the case. And when I sit there and I say, okay, so for the last 3 or 4 games, they've been shooting over 50% from the floor. What's that indication to you, DP, that when you're doing that? What does that tell you about a team as a coach?
You're getting layups, you're getting paint touches, you're getting post scoring, you're getting a lot of different ways of scoring instead of just jacking a lot of threes. I looked at Stony Brook. They got a 6'11" guy that took 113 shots, and 87 of them were threes. So you're not going to shoot a high percentage. You got to get, fast break layups. They was getting steals. They get post touches. You know what I mean? Drive to the lane. So you're getting a lot of different ways of scoring, and it's all in the paint.
Yeah, it's nice to see them, again, scoring in the paint. It's got to be, if you're over 50%, you've got to be doing a lot of paint work, right?
Yes.
Got to be doing a lot of paint work. A lot of houses, a lot of barns, all that big stuff, putting it on there. And Tim, let me ask you this, defensively, moving on over there, what did you see from them? Because the first half, Buffalo shot 57% from the floor. For the second half, they only shot about 41.
Well, like I said, I think the defense really, they came on as far as the defense really stepped up.
Yeah.
And like I said, as far as West Virginia's, in the first half, they didn't shoot well, and things turned around when, like I said, they started pounding the ball inside, and I think that makes a big difference, and that's what they have to do. They've got some big guys in there, but it's just they got to keep them out of foul trouble.
Mm-hmm. And D, what do you think, man? Give me your opinion on that.
I think what happened, when other teams are hot, sometimes you can't control, when the ball goes in. You can play good defense and guys making shots. It's tough. A lot of jump shot. They got a little rhythm. So then, in the second half, the intensity, especially in the first 5 minutes of the second half, that's where you know if a team is ready or not. When they come out and they're flying all over the place, they're making it hard for you to score, and that wears you down too. And I think that's what happened in the second half.
Yeah. All right. Before we move on here, let me go ahead and do this. Parmar Stores has over 200 stores in 5 states: West Virginia, Kentucky, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Maryland. And this week they opened up new stores in Apollo and Vandergrift, Pennsylvania. If there's not a Parmar store near you now, there will be soon. And of course, Wilson Martino Dental. They are big supporters of WVU. And did you know that all dentists graduated from WVU? Well, all but except one orthodontist who went to Penn State. All right, I didn't know that. Now I do. We're doing this, so I guess they can't be perfect. But I know that the perfect smile for Wilson Martino Dental is, and you know what? Yeah, they do that. All right, so let's continue on here, and let's talk about Trey Wilson now, or Trey Mitchell. I'm sorry, Trey Mitchell. Big 12 player of the week last week, averaged 13 points. He was 0 for 3 for 3 points, but he was third in the team with 17. Does that figure work out right to you? That's and he had 6 boards? So I mean, obviously he just continues to keep performing.
Now as far as Trey Mitchell, I like the way he's playing. I think he's going to improve and get better for West Virginia, and I think he's going to blow some numbers out. That's my feeling.
Yeah, he's very talented. He's skilled on offense. He can play inside out. I like to see him hit the defensive boards and offensive boards a little harder. But if that's the only thing, he's not getting he's not getting beat up. But just when they play in the Big 12, it's going to be a little different. But as far as the offensive end, I think he has a total package.
I mean, Trey's 6'9"?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it just the way. I mean, from what I see, from what I'm playing, he's just so damn smooth. I hate to say it that way, but but him and Matthews as well. The two of them. And hopefully Matthews gets back soon, but the two of them together, I think it's gonna change the way West Virginia plays in the Big 12.
Yeah, that's a nice combination. You have two good forwards like that,
Yeah.
and you have you got a guard in Stevenson, you got Johnson, then you got the guy Toussaint coming up the bench. You have Bell. They pieced together this team very well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So my conversation last night with Ron was the fact that this team gets along so well, which is it's very comforting to see that as far as what they're doing.
Yeah, and my question then here, D, is guys are scoring points. This time it was Stevenson at 22. The last time it was somebody else. So, and Hug said, this offense is equal opportunity for all to score points. I don't see any real ball hogs, for a better word, out there, and I just see them equally sharing the ball, and that's really what makes this offense click.
Yeah, I think that's what any offense. I think you got to have, sometimes you have a dynamic guy that likes to shoot a lot, and score a lot. Sometimes we call them volume shooters. On this team, we have a bunch of guys that skill doesn't mind to share the ball because there's enough opportunities. They take 10 to 15 seconds to get shots off. They get out in transition. They defend. They run when they run their stuff and execute, and they still learning each other. It's going to even look better in the future.
Well, hey, Darryl, I've never heard the what do you call it, volume shooters?
Yes, yeah, volume shooters.
So that's the politically correct ball hog.
Yeah, that's the new language for them now.
Okay, all right.
We call them volume shooters. Some people are like, "Oh, he's a great scorer." Yeah, but he took 35 shots. So, if I was allowed to take 35 shots, I'd be a good scorer as well.
No, I never
that's the new code.
No, I never heard that term, volume.
Well, it makes sense to me. It does make sense to me. And let's go with this. Okay, so offensively, defensively, you've seen this game. What do you want to see then before heading into the Big 12? What do you want to see him shore up offensively, defensively? Tim, I'm going to start with you. This is the last chance. This is your last game before it counts.
I want to see them pound the ball inside. I mean, bottom line, pound it inside with Bell and anybody else, as far as, I don't know if Matthews is going to be in the game or not, but with Mitchell, but pound the ball. I think before we get into the Big East, we need to learn how to offensively work the ball inside. It's going to open up outside.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Dave?
I'd like to see them defensively shut down that high pick and roll. They had a couple of lapses in the first half. They've gotten better at it since the beginning of the year. They're going to see a lot of that, a lot of straight line drives, keeping guys up the lane. I want them to wipe this team out. So if you wipe this team out, you're showing me that you're ready for the Big 12. Offensively, just keep, coexisting with each other. Like Tim said, throwing it in the paint. Let's get Bell some more touches. Let Bell average 11, 12 points a game. Then if he averages 11, 12 points a game, there's a problem for the Big 12.
No, I agree. But as well as we talked about last week, Darryl, but this whole pick and roll, they got to develop and learn how to do it from a fundamental standpoint. I mean, I watched the game last week, and it's pathetic. It really is. They really need to learn the fundamentals.
Yeah, it's sometimes it's how teams get into it. Sometimes teams like to run around, especially with a team like West Virginia. Huggy's all in your face, so they try to do the back door first, then they go to the pick and roll. So it's a lot of movement, and the guy has to be aware. He has to stay focused on defense to keep that mentality, because sometimes you can get lost. Oh, they cut the back door off. And it's not simple shell, because, in shell, you're just standing in 4 spots and you move. But if guys moving all over the place and you have a center that can shoot threes, now you got to come up, you got to go down, you got to come up. So it's a lot to do. It's a lot to do. And the focus has to be good. And I think Bell does a really good job at it.
Well, I gotta ask you a question, Darryl. When you played up there at West Virginia, did you not know every position?
I did.
So did
I don't think everybody knows every position. Some people can't grasp, all that. I knew the guard position, I knew the forward position, I knew the center position, I knew what everybody was doing.
No, I could play any position that on our offense and defense, and I think that's part of the problem.
Okay, so let's talk about fundamentals then, and I want you to go ahead because you've been bragging about Stevenson this whole entire show. So let's take a look at him offensively in the shooting because he was 5 of 8 from 3-point line. He was just on fire. He scored 22 points. And tell me about his game because he can do assists and he can even guard at times. When you see him come on down, listen, it's right up. You know what, D? Go ahead and take it, man. Break him down for me.
Oh man, you got to find him in transition, just like that shot right there. He's, he can beat you off the dribble. He moves well without the ball. He could post you up a little bit and shoot over top of you. He got good legs. He can get alley-oops. Just let's play right there. We call that Louisville. Louisville used to run that play. He comes off the screen and comes back. Then he comes off. He comes off the screen. He can shoot it on a catch and shot. He's a dynamic guy because he can't not only just catch and shoot. He can take it off the dribble. He can get to the lane. He got good legs on the defensive end. He's a willing defender. I don't know how good of a defender is, but he's a willing defender, which helps. And he gets in there, he throws it out with the right hand. He didn't have a shot, so he's a well-rounded player.
I mean, what about defense? There he is, right there guarding. I mean, he seems to be aggressive. Tim, what do you think?
He kind of reminds me of a Dale Blaney with the pissed off streak. I mean, he is. I really like his attitude. I think he's a great player for West Virginia.
He's definitely a souped up version of Dale Blaney.
Yeah, he is, Darryl, right?
Souped up version, but he's definitely Dale had all those attributes. Dale wasn't as fiery as he is.
Pissed off. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So what happens if you rub him the wrong way in the racetrack, Dale Blaney? I'm talking about.
You'll run your ass off the road.
All right, that's good because Dale's going to be coming on the show here in the new year. We can say the new year now, but this I want to just point out this one other guy because obviously Jimmy Bell has come a long ways. He's now shooting. Huggs says he never was a shooter before or point scorer. I think in Huggs terms, and now he had 18. He got 10, and there's a lot of things he put together his game. And Tim, I want you to go ahead and break him down as you're watching. There he is right there. Just point him out, number 15, and here you go.
I like his the way he his movement, everything else, and he's very fluent as opposed to some of the other bigs we had in the last couple of years. He can get the free throw line. Yeah, he the last game he missed some free throws, whatever, but still at the same time, he's a hell of a lot better than what we had in the past.
What do you think, D?
I like him. I wish I had a big physical guy like that. Darryl Pinckney was very physical, but Darryl couldn't score like Bell could. He didn't have the moves. You have a big guy like that that's attracting a lot of attention. It opens up a whole lot of things for the other guys. He's going to start getting double teamed. Then sometimes he's going to be out there isolated against some bigger guys. But I think he's so physical. He knows how to get his shot off. He plays defense. So when he comes to play, he's a big problem.
Darryl, I played with Darryl Pinckney. I was up there my last 2 years, whatever. Darryl was up there, and I agree with that. As far as what Bell is doing, he's a great talent, and what he's doing.
Well, let me ask you this, because he's found out that he's scoring. He scored 18 points, double-double. Is this the light bulb going off at the right time for the Mountaineers that Jimmy Bell is there saying, I can score points too?
No, I agree with that. Totally. I think Bell has got so much talent that, the guy's 270 pounds, for God's sakes. And you move some bodies around, and he's very fluent. He can make the hook shot, and he can do the layup. I like him. That's all I got to say.
What about you, D? You could score some points in your time.
Yeah, he's a talent. And it shows the coaches what he can do. So if he keeps doing this, he will get more opportunities to score. He'll start throwing it into him more, and then he'll free up the shooters, or he'll have a lane to himself. And I think having another guy like that is only beneficial for the team, because now you could put Mitchell and you could put Mitchell on the outside. You could put Emmett Smith. Got me saying Emmett Smith now. Emmett Matthews.
I remember.
Yeah, to open the lane up a little bit. Then he'll have some, opportunities. Then you got guys that can cut off of it. He can pass the ball pretty good. He sees the floor. So he can be, that's how part of that gelling we was talking about. So now, the players get some confidence in him. They don't have a problem throwing it into him.
Actually, I think he could be a better player than Oscar Toshiba was. Seriously.
Oscar couldn't score outside outside of 2 feet at the time. Remember he had Derek Culver, and I thought he was getting in Derek Culver's way. And Derek would give him passes, and he would just catch and dunk. But he was a great offensive rebounder. But I don't think you could throw it to Oscar like you could throw it to Jimmy Bell and have him make a move.
No, I agree. And you have both of those, Derek and Oscar, and both of them there just kind of just combined or clogged up the lane. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I know people are saying, well, Oscar got Player of the Year when he went to Kentucky, but he had different players around him too. So he had the whole lane to himself, and they had a lot of misses, and he had a lot of offensive rebounds. So
I know.
It's a big difference when you hate with that. So, but I just think, and I love Derek Culver, and but I think Jimmy Bell is a great piece for this team. I wish we had him for 3 years.
I agree.
Okay. Well, I have one more video for you guys to show you guys, and it's an offensive set here, and there's quite a bit of passing, and I know that they wanted to go in last game and do an extra pass, and break this down for me as in layman terms, because I want to know what's happening here.
So you got a paint touch, throw it out, 2 guys close up, close out, another paint touch, guy cuts back door, boom. You can't. That's basketball. That's learning how to play with each other. That's not being selfish.
Ball move.
Yep. That last year's team, the first paint touch right here would have been a shot.
Yep.
Nope. Better shot. Nope. Better shot. Nope. Get in the lane. Guy cuts back door. Boom. You get a dunk. That's basketball. It's just not guys just jacking up shots. You want guys to play with each other. It was 4 guys that touched the ball. You want 5, but I'll take 4. With that many passes.
But you notice, too, they spread the court out with the offense. And
I used to watch West Virginia work out sometimes when I come up there, and they would do that kind of stuff. They would drive it with no defense, drive it, pass. And that was one of their drills they did. And that drill showed up in the game. And because guys want to play with each other, they don't mind passing it to each other. They don't mind not shooting a bad shot. They want to help their teammates out to get a better shot. So I think that all that what the coaches showed them showed up in that clip right there.
Okay. All right. So technical term, you have man defense, you have zone defense. What's a match defense?
A matchup is a combination of both. So you want your matchup to look like a man, but you're in a zone. You can confuse teams sometimes. Sometimes, when a team is in a zone, when the guy passes and cut through. The guy cuts through with him there in the man. But what happens in the matchup, if a guy cuts through, he will cut through and come back to the zone spots. So it kind of confuses guy because when you see the guy cut with you, sometimes you get lazy and be like, oh, this is zone. And it takes you 20 seconds to figure it out. Or the coach will yell it from the sideline, run the zone play or run the man play. Coaching at Georgetown, we played North Carolina in the East Regional. They were killing us. We couldn't stop them. Tyler Hansborough, and they were killing us. We went to a matchup, and it took them 5 possessions to figure it out, and they couldn't figure it out. We came back. The matchup can be really good if all the guys are talking, working together. The straight man.
The matchup zone it really can be if you do it right.
Yeah.
As far as how you disguise it is what you do.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's a lot of different things you can do, and we did it in West Virginia. But there's different ways you can do it.
Yeah. Yeah, Cali did a good job. We did a good job with Cali doing a matchup, and it's different ways. Different people have different ways of doing it, but it's the key is sometimes you have to run a man play against the matchup, or you run a zone play, but you just can't get bogged down and think too much if you're on offense.
So overall, it's disguise.
Yes, it's a disguise.
It's disguise of what you're actually trying to do.
Exactly.
That's pretty cool.
It's probably the same thing in football too, what you guys do as far as on defense.
Absolutely. It'd be disguising the secondary. Also, trying to go ahead and run different formations for the same play.
It just causes confusion. You want guys thinking more than reacting and playing.
That's what I'm talking about, because laymen like me for basketball, we need to know this stuff, and that's why this is so good. Because I don't think you can sit there and ask you sit there and say, hey, you know what this is? Yeah, I know what it is. And I said, they look down and they walk away. Because they don't want to, they don't want to get caught. Say, no, you got to come here and explain it to me. All right, because that's what I'm trying to get at here, so they understand it. But we want to do it in 101. Okay, so we want to cut this shorter here and talk about Stony Brook. I haven't talked much about Stony Brook because I really think it's about what the Mountaineers do, not about what they do. On paper, the Mountaineers should win in a good way. But I know that you got to treat them with respect because they are a team that has been better. So. They have a big scorer and more, and they like to do a lot of screens and isolate on him. And they do have 3 3-pointers at 30% or higher and one at 40% for the 3-point line. How do you play this team tonight, Tim? I'm going to go with you first.
Well, I think we just keep going with what we've got. And I think, like I said, start pounding the ball in the first half with our bigs and just, punch the ball out after we start scoring inside. Keep with what we got.
D?
I think you pressure the ball. I don't think they have good ball handlers. They don't have a lot of ball handlers. They're so big. They had the two 7-footers and the 6'11". I think they're a little slow on defense. Just don't let them get easy layups, no easy drives. One of the post players like to get the ball in the post, and he wants you to help, and he throws it back out to the shooter. So sometimes you just got to stay home. Don't let the guy post up deep, push him up the lane a little bit, and make them score over top of you, and just pressure the ball. I think watch for the flare screens and the pick and rolls and those straight line drives.
Yeah.
Okay, so offensively, Pugs is saying this is where I want to go with this team. So I'm not worried about what Stony Brook's doing to us. Is that what you do? Or are you worried about building matchups for this game and obviously going and reading what they're doing? Again, this is a warm-up game for the Big 12. Where are you going with this game? Go ahead, Tim.
Yeah, but warm-up game for the Big 12, just be careful. I mean, go in, play your game, and don't worry about the Big 12 starting up.
Mm-hmm.
You got to look at the scouting report and everything else as far as each player, because like Darryl said, I mean, they've got some big guys in what they do. So be careful with don't overseeing this and thinking about the Big 12.
Okay, D.
Yeah, Simmer's right. I just think you come with energy, you take care of the ball, just keep improving on what you've been doing for the last few games. And everything else will take care of itself. I think them guys off the bench, it'd be a good time for them to show what they can do, so they can, coaches can have more confidence in them in the future. The Wilsons of the world, we know about Joe Toussaint. He knew what we were going to bring. I like the other big kid. I think it's what's his name, Harris.
Josiah. Yeah.
What's the other? Is it Josiah Davis? I like Josiah Davis' energy. He just has to, give us a little more. And Jamel King. So it's a time for those guys to see what we can get out of those guys, and hopefully they'll be ready by the end of the year.
All right, let me finish with this. All right, Dan Cava, Toyota World. Shop the world, as Danny Cava would always say. You always saw as commercials. It's your Toyota dealer in Fairmont, West Virginia. Number 1 Toyota dealer in West Virginia. And of course, Country Roads Trust is West Virginia's name, image, and likeness team, changing the game for WVU's student athletes. Now, because this is Christmas, I'm going to say, let's give my favorite story in the world to Mountaineer Nation about Coach Gail Catlett when the musket went off. And you know what I'm talking about.
So one time was a timeout. He was drawing up his play. Drawing up a play. And the gun went off, and it whoop, everything fell out of his hands. So after that,
I got one better than that.
Go ahead, Tim.
I got one better than that. St. Bonaventure, when they played us at the Coliseum, and they were 1 point down, and one of the St. Bonaventure players was at the free throw line, and he was getting ready to shoot his free throw, and he shot off the musket, and he threw up an air ball. Oh yeah.
That musket, you never know when that's going to go off or where they are, because the Mountaineer appears and disappears.
Hey, Ron, Dale, I don't know if you know this or not, but my brother-in-law was the Mountaineer in 1981.
Well, Ronnie would have known him, that's for sure.
Jim Campbell is my brother-in-law. He was the Mountaineer in 1981.
Well, your family was very WVU. I mean, you had your sisters connected there. Very WVU, very much.
Yep.
All right. Well, that's good to know. And DP, Darryl Prue, 1986-89. Tim Kearney, 1981-84. I got it down this week. I want to wish you guys a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and hopefully we see you for the New Year's for the Kansas State Wildcats. I think it's a big game. I think it's an important game for the Mountaineers to jump off. They could go up quick. 2 games, Saturday and Sunday, I believe, and I think they can make a big wave.
I'm sorry, but the way the schedule is from what is it, Saturday, then play Monday off. I mean, that this whole schedule with the Big 12 sucks. It really does. I mean,
all right.
Darryl, do you agree?
Do I agree? Or Darryl? He said, okay, yeah.
Darryl.
I like it. I used to like playing those games, especially when the school was in. And you missed a lot of class.
Well, no, I'm asking that question, but just the fact you're playing Saturday and play again Monday.
Yeah, I like playing games more. You know, I know some of Huggies practices can be a little rough, so I'm sure the guys like to play games more. But the travel with the Big 12 is tough. So I see your point about that. Yeah, even when we were here in Atlantic 10 and I coached at Georgetown in the Big East, it was a lot of games back to back or close to each other. But, you know, the geography was different. Everything was closer. These games, man, the closest game is like a 2-hour flight, 2.5 hour flight.
Yeah,
Big 12, so that's the toughest part.
Yeah. All right, Jim. Hey, we got Robert Pod Bessick there. Now, Pod, Tim, he was before you, I believe. He was 1970. So I guess that would be before you. But Pod is a big avid watcher. He's football now, watching the Hardcourt Legends, man. Gotta give him props. Gotta give him props for that, baby. He's a Mountaineer fan.
Yes. Thank you, Robert.
Very good. I hope he's so happy now, right? Okay. Well, listen, fellas, thank you so much. Let's get it. Let's get after Stony Brook tonight. Let's get a victory. And I will see you 2 hours before the Wildcats game on New Year's Eve. Take care now.
Hey, Merry Christmas to everybody.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Well, we'll see for the Happy New Year. Merry Christmas, everyone.
Right
All
on.
right. Take care,
All
guys.
right. Thank you.
No matter what it is you need, you'll find it at your local Par-Mar store. From gas to groceries, snacks, and everything else you always seem to run out of, Par-Mar Stores has it. Need more savings? Download the Par-Mar app and sign up for the Par-Mar Rewards Card. You won't only see our stores in your neighborhoods, you'll see us in your neighborhoods too. We are proud to be in your town and proud to be a part of the community. Come see us at Par-Mar Stores, and remember, if there's not a Par-Mar store near you now, there will be soon.